All right, guys, welcome to Beard of Darkness Book Reviews. I'm so happy. I have a wonderful guest today, Mr. Isaac Anderson. How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. That is my name.
I love it. So, what have you done today? Well, I see we talked a
Oh
little bit
man.
before we started. What did you do today? And then, where did you just move from and where did you move to?
Yeah. So I'm from Oklahoma. Recently moved to Miami.
Okie.
Uh, Today I celebrated my sister's birthday.
All
She
right. Happy
turned.
birthday, sister.
I think she turned 16. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
Um, then I did some storyboarding for a project that I can't talk about.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's awesome. That's so cool. So you just moved from Oklahoma. Where did you go to?
Oh, Miami. Did I say that?
Yeah. Nope, nope. That's all good though. From
Yep.
Okie to Miami,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
will. There's a
People warned
slight
me.
change.
They
Go
warned
ahead.
me it was hot here, but it's so much better than Oklahoma.
Man, I thought so. I lived in Florida myself for 2 years, and I'm from Ohio. Well, I'm from like Ohio, Michigan. I grew up between both, and it was a change. And
I
after a
believe it.
couple
Yeah.
years, I missed the pine trees. I missed the snow. So I hope you're happy, and I hope you stay happy, and all the happiness comes to you. But me, I had to come back home.
Yeah.
My mom still lives there. She moved from Ohio to Florida, and she's still there. But anywho, Matt Jones, indie author, man, how you doing tonight? Thank you for popping in. Knoxwich Book Life. Hello. Yeah, he did say that. Yes, Bert Strubble, how are you doing, man? I hope I say that. Struble. I'm sure one of the two.
Strubel.
Struble. Soul Free Wolf, hello, man. How are you tonight? And the Renegade Bar, that is Brian D. Anderson, writing Conan the Child. That's coming out soon. I had a great time talking with him. You'll love Florida. You can witness a man assault his own father with a dead iguana. That's really happened. Oh, I mean,
It's
doesn't
beautiful.
surprise me.
It is beautiful.
That's poetic, right?
It is.
There's something
It's
poetic about it.
that might be jazz. It
It
might be
has to
closer to
be.
jazz or maybe a haiku.
So, man, tell us the whole deal. Tell us the name of your book. Is it your debut novel? The subgenre, the overview, the whole shebang.
Yeah, so I wrote a little novel called The Garden Maze. Yeah, there it is. The subgenre is fantasy small, tiny. I don't know. I'm not sure what the subgenre is. I
So,
put
like,
it it's
high
kind of
fantasy,
it's I don't it might be low
epic fantasy,
fantasy.
low fantasy. Okay, yeah.
Maybe. It's I would categorize it kind of next to Chronicles of Prydain or Sword in the Stone, but Sword in the Stone is much better. Mine's kind of in
Oh,
the back.
well, it's one of those things. People have to read the book and then get back with you about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
but also, yeah, I like what you're doing though. Continue. I'm sorry. Like, I like to have comparisons, kind of influences, that kind of thing. So kind of go into the overview of it.
Yeah, so basically I wrote it because I wanted to finish something. I've been working on a book called A Song of Bones that is basically a love letter to everything that Brian Jakes wrote, Redwall and stuff like that. Animals killing each other in a Lord of the Rings setting.
Okay,
And
yeah.
that project has become so big, I wanted to sit down and finish something.
Mm.
So I wanted to take a simple idea with a simple style set in a fairy tale happy setting where horrible things could happen and might happen. So it's about a knight and his squire who are kind of down on their luck a little bit. They have become servants of this kind of boring fat man,
Ooh.
and they get the opportunity to enter in this kind of contest where there's this ancient garden maze that only opens once every 100 years or so. And the rumor is if you go to the end of it, there's treasure. So they're like, yeah, they're into that.
Yeah.
But the maze is not exactly what they expected, and things go off the rails very quickly.
It would have to be because I like a quick novel.
Mhm.
or a short. Would you call it a short story? Is
I think it is. It is like, I think it's 8,000 words short of becoming a novel. It's technically in novella territory, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's only like 130 pages. So
Yep.
which I like that. Good evening, Book Mama 87. Uh so I love that. So when I looked at the cover, and my wife thought the same, which may or may not be her. I can't disclose the Book Mama
Oh.
87. So we're both like circus.
Mhm.
Is there a circus theme?
There is a circus-like area that is a little bit pivotal and a little bit frightening.
Yeah,
There,
and we've got roses
roses are very
and then we've
important.
got your name, right? The name.
Yeah, I put it right up top so people know.
I love that, man. So the back of it says the walls of the garden maze are tall, the scent of its flowers intoxicating. The souls who call it home twisted. Those who find their path leading through its leafy halls may never leave again. If they do, they will be forever changed. A thriller throughout a dark fantasy world where nothing is as it seems. Goodbye and good luck, young squire. I That's a captivating. I don't know if I use the word right. Is it a blurb or is that like an overview? A blurb is like a shout out from another author, right?
Yeah, blurbs for that was kind of my what do you call it when you open
Like
up
a
the
hook.
book and the flap has the little
That's what
elevator
I'm talking
pitch?
about too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the pitch or the overview or
I know it has a name. I'm not
it
sure
has a
what it
name.
is, but
Yeah, I
there is a
keep
word.
calling it a blurb, and I think I've been using that word wrong, but I think people knew what I meant.
Yeah.
The Beard of Darkness just started reading basically 4 or 5 years ago, so the terminology will come to me. Synopsis, there we go. That's it. Synopsis, yes. I love that word too. It's so fun to say. Synopsis, right? I think I'm probably alone on that. That's okay though. I
No,
like to.
synopsis is my favorite word.
So where did you or okay, so how long did you work on this novel? You
Okay.
talk about it being kind of like a quick punch.
Yeah, so I wrote it in two kind of sprints. Originally it was just supposed to be a short story.
Mhm.
And if you read The Garden Maze, I'm kind of interested because I want to. Not a lot of people have read it. I kind of want to pick people's minds and see if they notice where the special stuff is. So if you get to the halfway point, that is where it originally ended.
Okay.
And then everyone I gave the story to was they got very mad at me. I said, "Well, the story's over. The characters learned their lesson." And like, "What?" So I had to write the second half of it.
Okay.
So it is the first. I don't want to give too much away. The first half of the book
Sorry
is
guys,
from
one
one
second.
character. Okay.
There we go. My bad. No, that was my bad. Sometimes I accidentally play a video in the back. Anyway, continue.
Okay. So the first half of the story is from one person's perspective.
Mhm.
And because his story kind of ends, it's resolved in a way, then I jump to the other character and we have his point of view for the rest of the story.
I like that.
And I really liked how it turned out. I was really happy with it.
So I'm sure have heard me say this. So I usually like to talk with the author before I start their novel. I'm going to bang this one out pretty quick. I like that. And I'll be looking for the two point of views and kind of taking what I learned today. Okay. So there we go. Bert says, Mrs. Beard, what time should we all be at the house tomorrow for dinner? Yeah, dude. She's been cooking all day. Dude, who throws their own comment up? Like, who does that? I don't know. Sorry, guys. I do that, I guess. What inspired you to write The Garden Maze? Is it based off any real life experience?
Yeah, I was pulled into a wardrobe and I fell into a fantasy thing. It got really weird. There was a rabbit, and
Yeah.
so the Garden Maze is kind of so when I first started to write, I plotted out my big epic, that every writer has their big epic. I sat down and I thought, well, what are the things that I would have loved to read when I was 10, 11, 12. And one of the images that came to mind was a knight walking into a hedge maze. And I really liked that image, and I really wanted to know, why was he there? What was he looking for? What was going to happen to him? And so when I started writing the story, it was much more, the first kind of draft, it was much more Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of fantasy
Really?
funny. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of that is,
I kind of get that from your personality. I told you before we showed up. Tell me if you guys agree. He's got one of those voices for radio. He's got a face for TV, but a voice for radio.
yeah, face for TV. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, if anybody ever tells you have a face for radio, you punch them square in the teeth.
No, that's okay. Having a radio face is a good thing if you're on radio. If you're not on radio, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, right. No, but you have that that podcast voice. I would listen to you on the daily, man. You've got
Hey, nice.
so if I hear stuff like that, if I see I have to let people know because I want somebody to let me know.
Right.
But either way, yeah. So I like that question, Book Mama. She says, because I think even in the craziest of the fantasies, we all, I find myself when I'm writing, inserting something, a lot of my own experience, whether it's like translates to realism in the book it always doesn't happen, obviously, because it's a fantasy book. But I think it's still you find yourself a lot throughout. I find once I talk to an author and their experience, their influence in real life, I can see that translate throughout their books. So that I like that question. And okay, I like that. And look, we've got a guy here. He's an OG indie author and traditionally published. So he's been through both ringers. And Blurb is right. Okay, so I haven't been using that wrong. Synopsis is longer form detailed description. Look at that. Good deal.
Let the blurb and synopsis fight.
Yeah, I like it. What are you reading right now?
Oh, right now I'm reading a couple of things. I'm one of those crazy people that read several books at once.
Me too.
Right now I'm reading David Gimmel's Legend. I think it's Gimmel.
I can't wait to read that.
I like it. He's made several choices that are very strange to me. Very quick point of view changes that work, but it's very, very odd. I love the feeling of just there's this doom that's over everything. Everyone pretty much knows that they're going to fail, but they have to go and do this thing anyway. Yeah. And it has this kind of like it's not foreboding. Like you're really looking forward to it. Everyone's pumped. They know that they're probably not going to win. They know they're probably going to die, but they're going to do it with honor, man.
Yeah.
So it has this kind of like Stephen King will tell you what will happen way before it actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're dreading to when you get to that moment. He's kind of done that. I haven't finished the book yet, so maybe I'm completely wrong. But I really like, I don't know, this idea of heading toward the inevitable that's very heavy right now.
Oh, I like that, man. It's a kind of like a build up to the climax. How far are you into the book? Like as far as halfway, 50%, 25%?
I think I'm about 20% into it.
Okay, so you could be totally off with that.
I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
This 20%, this is my thought.
Andrew's Wizardly Reads talks about Legend a lot. I know Mike from Mike's Book Reviews is reading that next month. So it's gaining popularity again. And I've heard so many people talk about it that I'm excited to. And it's a classic. Like as far as it goes, David Gemmell. I haven't read anything by him, and I hear that that's the one to read. So what did you or when did you know you wanted to write?
It's probably I learned to read at like 6 years old, maybe.
Okay.
I remember when it clicked. I was flipping, looking at the pictures. Magic Treehouse. And all of a sudden, I could read. Like I remember sounding that out and oh, I got it. And I
Yeah.
could read. I don't think that's what sparked me wanting to write. I think the book that did that was this little book that I don't think anyone's heard about. It's called The Tale of the Swamp Rat by Carter Crocker.
The Tale of the Swamp Rat.
And to this day, it is the best book I've ever read.
Oh, wow. Who's the author?
Carter Crocker.
Carter Crocker.
Carter Crocker. And it kind of had this big presence in my mind. So when I came back to it a couple years ago, I was a little bit worried it wouldn't hold up, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice.
One of the things that I took away from that was I found a review for it on Amazon. I wanted to buy a hard copy. I was reading some of the reviews. And one of the reviews said that Carter Crocker is an author who loves words, and his books are written to be read out loud.
Oh, wow.
So when I go into Garden Maze, Song of Bones, whatever project I work on, I am always thinking, will this sound good read aloud? And I try to hit that. I don't know if I'm 100% successful all the time, but I love, the books that just feel like they were written a long time ago, that just have depth, not in depth of plot or story or character, but depth in words.
Okay, so you mean vocabulary or
not
grammar,
vocabulary?
structure?
I don't know. It's the way that sometimes you read something and it just has this flow. It's not rhyming, it's not complicated, but things are just flowing. And the story is just coming so incredibly naturally, and things are just working. And Tale of the Swamp Rat does this better than, I think, Tale of the Swamp Rat and then The Princess Bride are the two books I've read that balloons. Where'd the balloon? Did anyone see those balloons? What was that?
I can't wait to kind of. I know what you're saying, because when I find my mistakes and when I'm writing, it's usually when I talk aloud.
Mm-hmm.
To like my wife or something, and she's like, "No, this doesn't sound right," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So I like that, and that's not something I've heard a lot, and I think that's a good piece of advice. Brian D. Anderson says, "Use your text-to-speech feature. It does help in that." That makes a lot of sense.
I like to imagine a little old man on a stage reading.
Oh,
the book.
Now,
whenever I get stuck, I do that, and it helps a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't.
Now, when you're reading like a David Gemmell or like a Tolkien or something, just really, I don't know. I don't know. In my head, I have this English British accent. Do you ever do that?
Sometimes, maybe.
Me, it's like never my accent. It's always like, and he comes across in this terrible accent. I'm sorry that I'm going to do this terrible. In my head, it sounds great. And he stumbles upon a stone. It's like that's how I read in my head.
Okay.
Just depending on the book. Yeah. So so it helps with certain books for me, and it's just natural. It's like not something I mean to do. It's just naturally how I read. So kind of going back to basics, like you learn to read and you're kind of sounding things out and things are starting to make sense, and that's kind of inspiring you to read more. You find Tale of Swamp Rat by Carter Crocker, and you're really inspired by this book. Where do you go from there?
Oh, from there, I imagine like, when I grow up, I'm gonna write so many books. I'm gonna be so good at writing. I'm gonna be the best writer ever. And then I never do it. I just keep reading books, and then I get lazy. And then I finally, like, I still kind of struggle with this. I was afraid to begin because it wouldn't be good enough.
Well, we're human. That's very human of you.
I am too much of a perfectionist. This is probably why my other project is taking so long to finish, because I move so slowly with it. I'm so afraid of messing it up. And with the Garden Maze, my goal was just to have a fun story. So that really just made me power through it, because whenever I got stuck, I would say, well, what's the most fun way to say this? Or what's the most interesting thing that could happen? And I don't need to care about the politics of this land over here or what this character's motivations is, because I only have like 4 characters in the garden maze.
Mhm.
And I keep everything really simple, and
Tight
I don't know.
and kind of like
You
I
just
like that.
you need to let go. Don't care so much about what you're doing.
Okay, so kind of like take the stress off your shoulders and let your writing kind of take over. I
And
like that.
sometimes that advice actually helps me.
Well, I love that. And when I started this channel, it was like, what can I do to? Well, it kind of evolved into this. Like, at first, I was just going to read and review books. You know, it's like
Yeah.
who does like? There's not an over. There's not a dilution of that already. Like, I just kind of fell into loving what you guys as indie authors do because it hits home with what I want to do, and learning has been and gaining knowledge and your experience as an author is kind of what I focus on now, and I love that. I like that those little tidbits of gold, I call it.
Well, my gold is more the stuff you get in with the candy gold. I give out
Yeah,
candy gold.
nice,
It's
nice.
not
Yeah,
real gold.
no, but it tastes good.
It tastes sometimes. Sometimes it's been in the pocket too long.
Yeah, you don't want them. Although melted chocolate's pretty good sometimes too.
I guess, yeah. If you want melted chocolate, if that's not what you asked for,
Right, if you want the solid stuff and I give you melted, you might be a little bit
yeah.
disappointed. Who are the authors who had their hand in the way that you write?
Probably, well, Carter Crocker.
Mhm.
One day, probably when I'm 60, I'll be able to write something at the level that he wrote. Stephen King a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, whenever my goal is not to be fancy, is to be clear, I
Ooh, I
guess.
like that.
So I like to find authors that are really good at being clear and also really good at being fun in how they write. And Stephen
Mhm.
King, someone who does that. Lemony Snicket.
Ooh,
I
nice.
love those books growing up. He does that very well. He figured out how to write really simple, really fun, and have this kind of musical depth to his writing.
I haven't read them, but I love what you're saying about it.
Oh, they're really fun. They're really, really fun.
Now, what would the age range be on your book? Like like beginning and then oh my guy, Tim McKay, another indie author, one of my good buddies from the Discord channel, which you are a part of. I love that.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
there.
yes, series of unfortunate events was the bomb.
It was very, very good.
Explosive detonation. So I like that because I've heard that a few times on this channel about Lemony Snicket and the series of unfortunate events. I've seen the Jim Carrey show or movies, and they're
Oh
pretty
man,
good.
yeah.
I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan just because I grew up in the '90s, and that's just the heyday for him, Adam Sandler, all that good stuff. But I've really there's so many books though, right? There's how many books
There
are there?
are 13.
13. Okay, so knowing what I do now about fantasy, that's not crazy because we can
No,
name
well,
a few with more.
the really cool thing that he did was book 1 is really short and really easy to read, really
Mhm.
simple. And by the time you're in book 13, the book is longer, the plot's more complicated. The characters who were flat in book 1 are multi-dimensional characters now, and the writing has become he's referencing Herman Melville, and he's referencing
Oh,
all these other classic stories, and
the
it
old
goes
Moby
from
Dick.
it goes from here's something you read when you're 7 to here's something you will enjoy in your 40s.
Oh, nice,
And
man. So
he takes you through it. Like he knew kids were growing up with this. So, okay, it's time for your next helping of information.
wow, that's very tailored. Uh
Yeah, yeah. And
because
I'm pretty sure he did that on purpose.
He had to have, because like he noticed the age range of his first book,
Yeah.
and then these people are growing up, so he kind of stuck with his fans. And I like, based on what you're telling me, it sounds like what he did.
I hope so. I hope I didn't
That
make that
sounds
up.
no. I mean, I'm sure so many people. I mean, if there's one person with that opinion, there's got to be a million. So
Yeah.
that's cool, man. I got to start reading that stuff. Even the first book, I can't wait to read. Like, I like a simple read. I like a very dark and difficult read too. So it just depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Good description of writing too. Simple yet fun and captivating. I love that. What I tend to go for as well. Yep, that makes sense, Tim. And Brian says, "Do you feel like, or do you feel you have reached a stage where your own unique voice has developed?" Oh, that's a good question. Very good question. I'm gonna have to use that one again, Brian.
It depends on what project I'm working on. I write Garden Maze stories much differently than I would write Song of Bones stories.
Mm.
And I'll with Garden Maze, I'm trying to write it like old, like with The Princess Bride has this old feeling to the writing, even though it wasn't written a long time ago. It feels like it was written a long time ago. So I'm trying to do that with Garden Maze. And with Song of Bones, it's a little bit more modern. And for that, depending on the point of view character, I change style a little bit.
Okay.
And
would you say that, because I keep hearing about the Song of Bone, is this a more epic, serious for you in your career?
Okay. So the first project I really wanted to work on, I had two ideas. I could do the space thing, or I could do a fantasy speak, or I could do a Redwall talking animals folk story thing.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do Redwall because I haven't found very many other books in that genre recently. There's Redwall, and I think there's this.
Who wrote that?
Brian Jakes.
Oh, Brian Jakes, guy I talked about earlier. Okay.
Yeah, Redwall. So I sat down to write out that, and that's a story about it's about a bunch of mice who've lived underground their entire lives, and they've been forced to dig. So they're digging down, and they don't know why they're digging, and they're being forced to dig by all these rats. And they've been trying to escape, and one day a brand new mouse is brought down into the tunnels, and he is fresh from above ground, and he can remember what the sky's like, and he kind of reinvigorates their escape attempt.
Okay.
And the story is very it has kind of Great Escape kind of vibes. It has political vibes. It has I don't want to give away too much here.
No,
the main character,
brother.
Yeah, so the main character in that story, the new mouse, the new face in the burrow, he's there to help, but he's kind of there for selfish reasons.
Okay.
So he has a very interesting motive. He's very fun to write because he's helping you out, but he's helping himself out a little bit more.
Okay. No,
so anyway, yeah, go ahead.
No, you please. I was going to continue. I want you to keep touching on it if you were going to.
Yeah. So that story has evolved and grown so much. It's currently sitting at 300,000 words.
Nice, dude. I'm pumped for it.
It's too big. I right now I've split it into 2 books, and I'm working on editing the first book right now. Why do I keep getting balloons? Do you see these balloons?
I seen the balloons.
What's that?
I don't know.
Did I press a button?
You may have.
Okay.
It seems, but hey, we like balloons around here.
Hey, so. Balloons are great.
They are. You can pop them and scare people.
So anyway, because I was kind of like, this is a never-ending project, I took a break and I wrote Garden Maze.
Nice.
And finishing something short was such a burst of motivation.
Nice.
It was so cool to finish something and actually have it out there and have people read it. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it.
Okay, that's great, man. I like that. That's part of your journey, and then we've got this something to look forward as well from you. Uh, EC Greaves, thanks, man. One of my good buddies from the very beginning. He's been supporting the channel from the very beginning. Thank you for popping in, man. And Ithra, so I'm glad that you popped in here because I had a message to you on my Patreon. Thank you so much, by the way. Pop in there and give me your address so I can throw you the bookmark that I promised you.
Bookmarks.
Bookmarks, custom, yeah, that my wife makes. So you have to do that. Get in there. I've asked you for your PO box and whatnot. So yeah, send that to me through Patreon. Don't do it here.
Yeah, privately.
Yes, exactly. So is that
Secret of him?
Is that part of Redwall?
No, it's not. It's written by a different person. I forget what his name was.
Is Redwall a novel or is that the series name?
Redwall is a series. The first book I think is called Redwall, but it is a whole series. Now Brian Jakes, the first 3 Redwall stories are all unique, and then he kind of repeats himself for the next 30 years. There's good stuff in all of them, but if you want to read just a great book for kids, Redwall, that first book it's fantastic.
Sure. Awesome, man. I love that because those aren't usually I tend to kind of gravitate towards a darker story or an epic story.
Oh, Redwall gets dark, man.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It's real dark.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's great. So I'm going to put that down real quick. I'll make a little note. I love it. So I like the answers I've been getting to this question. If you could read one novel over again for the very first time, what would it be?
It'd probably be Tale of Swamp Rat. Well, no, because then I wouldn't be inspired to be a writer. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, try one maybe I haven't spoke of.
I will choose.
Just meditate on it. We've got time.
Oh, I know. The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks.
The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks.
The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks. Who wrote that? That was a deep core memory there. Hang on.
The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks. Wow. I've never heard of that. The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks.
I doubt anyone else has. Who? Nancy MacArthur wrote that. The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks. That was a fun book. I
was talking to RJ Barker recently, and Ithra, he has thoroughly convinced me to read Watership Down.
That is such a strange book. It's really, really good. It's very strange.
He talks about a few different points where he just, no matter how many times he reads it, RJ just cries like a little blubbering baby. And I love that, man. It's just any book or a song or a piece of art that can bring those and evoke those kinds of emotions, I think are very strong. Are winners are those that people should. I seek to find that book where I just at the end or halfway. I don't care what point in the book I'm at. It just kind of touches me in a way that's like, oh, it's just deeply emotional. I haven't found that yet. I may be a serial. No, I was going to say serial killer, but I'm not that. Maybe sociopath. But I do cry. There's times. But I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that book that really is like, oh man, that was it. A great thing about the industry is access. The more established you are, the more opportunities you have to meet cool writers. Have you had the chance to meet any of your heroes yet?
No. I am really bad at marketing. I am really bad at putting myself out there. I'm trying to do more stuff like this. So heroes I would like to meet.
There we go. Who are name 3 you'd really just, man, I just like if you met them.
I'd like to meet Carter Crocker. If he's still alive. I don't know if he's alive. Oh, I hope he's not dead.
If he is, rest in peace, Carter.
Yeah. Daniel Handler, aka Lemony Snicket. He'd be cool to meet.
I didn't know his name was Daniel Handler.
Yeah. His children book name is Lemony Snicket.
Man, gold. Thank you.
Oh yeah, he used to write prank letters to companies, and he would sign it Lemony Snicket. That's where the name came from.
I like it. Lemony Snicket. You know, it's just one of those like, how do you come up with that? That's beautiful. Lemony Snicket.
It's almost Dickens, right?
Oh yeah, it is. Like it is. You know who saw somebody else? Is it Dumas? Dumas?
Dumas, Alexander Dumas.
Alexander Dumas. It's not dumbass, guys. It's Dumas. But a black guy, right? From an early, right? I believe he is. I hope I'm not wrong in that. But he wrote in a time where you didn't have a lot of African American writers giving wonderful stories. I have to look at I hope I'm not wrong.
Alexander Dumas. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The only reason I think I know that is Stephen King's The Shawshank Redemption. They talk about it. He's like, "You guys ever read Alexander Dumbass?" And he's like, no, it's Dumas. Dumas. Yeah. So I have to check that out now. Let's see. So he's a French guy, yeah.
French.
Born in 1802, died in 1870, and he is indeed. I think he's an African American guy, and yeah, French nobleman. Yes, he his father, general, French colony. I can't tell. It's a black and white photo, guys.
He looks a little bit more not Indian.
Maybe I don't really know. I hope I'm not.
We're inching into dangerous territory. We're trying to guess this guy's race.
Yeah, his race. I don't know. I feel like I heard that he is a. I like to be right on those things, though, or at least correct myself. Either way, I hear he's a
the guy wrote Count of Monte Cristo. I mean,
yeah, a very influential writer. Okay, so here we go. Half black, half white. Yes, at least I was half right. Brian, my dude, thanks for popping in, man. Writer of The Forsaken Planet, my guy. Oh man, I got to talk to you soon. Yeah, about the recent picture you sent me. What a cool picture. Hey Brian, yes, Dumas was half white, half black Frenchman. That is cool. I think that does play a huge role, especially back then. You have to know those kind of things because there is a. Yeah, I agree, Tim. Hello, great line from Shawshank. Alexander Dumas. Yes, Dumas. Yeah. I think that we do him a disservice if we don't correct those who mispronounce his name. Ithra. Yes, exactly. So, man, what are you working on? Well, so I feel like we may have answered this a little bit.
Kind of.
Excuse me. What are you working on right now?
Right now, I just finished a short story for a little anthology collection. It is unnamed right now. I think it's releasing in December.
December.
And in between finishing that, I'm editing, cutting out swaths of text from Song of Bones, and I'm outlining the next Garden Maze book.
Oh, man, you kind of just stole my next question. I love that. I did not know that this was going to be a series. Is it going to be a duology, trilogy? Is it going to be whatever the hell a 4-book series is called?
Here, so the land that this story takes place in is called Norland.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of create a fantasy country where I could pick any spot on the landmass and find a story. So my original thought was I would have the Garden Maze happens over here with these characters. The next story happens over here with these characters. Next story is up here, and they're loosely connected, but they all stand alone. I finished the Garden Maze, and everybody wanted more with those characters who read it. Mm-hmm. So at first, same thing. When the short story was done, they wanted the more of it. Like, their story is done. So I had to sit down and think, what else could they do? and I came up with something that made me very happy. And it's been a lot of fun to outline the next chapter for these characters.
So you are indeed an outliner. You're not a pantser.
I pants in the outline.
Okay, I get you. No. They call that a headlighter, right?
Maybe. Sure.
So based on my experience, headlighting is something like it. Now tell me if I'm wrong, guys, in the chat, because we've got a lot of authors over here in the chat, especially Brian and EC. We've got another Brian. They spell their names differently, but we've got two Brians. Brian squared.
Brian and Brain.
Here. Brian, yeah. Tim, and I hope I'm not missing any. Ithra. Yep. Gosh, I feel bad like I'm missing somebody now. Anyway, my point is headlighting, from what I understand, or I was talking to S.A. Klopfenstein.
Okay.
And he does what I believe the term is headlighting, something like that. And he outlines, but so like he kind of knows the major points in the book, and he writes in between as a pantser. Like, is that what you're speaking of?
What I do is I know this story is going to be roughly 200 pages. So I know I need to write a 30-page short story that is that condensed.
Mm-hmm.
So my rule for that is tell, don't show.
Yeah, that's always a good rule.
So it's basically I write a short story first. I figure out what I like, and then I expand it.
Wow, man, you've got some. I love that because
now the short story is very unreadable. It is all over the place, and I changed my mind.
The first draft.
It's a first draft. It's a short story that I expand into the finished product.
I love that, dude, because I hear a lot of different ways to write, and I like hearing different ones. And yours has been a little different.
I'm not normal. I'm weird.
Oh no, that is one of the best qualities in the human is that in which we take something that may seem normal and we make it our own, right? I think, but that's really what everybody does.
In 10 years, when I have a few more books finished, then we can decide if that indeed was a good idea.
Okay, no, I love that. This definitely. I always talk to people, like the people I've had on. I know, and EC Greaves can tell you this. I've had him on twice now. I've had HC Newell on 3 times. Like the people I speak with, especially indie authors, are going to be repeat guests, and I hope the same.
Awesome
for you, man. So let me look over here, make sure I'm not missing any questions and all that fun stuff, because doing 2 things at once isn't my forte. Ithra says, Watership is by Richard Adams and weirdly is touted as a children's story. I read it the first time when I was 13. From what I understand, it was kind of marketed as a children's story, but there's some very deep themes.
Yeah. One of the major plots in the last third is, we don't have enough women to breed. We need to go kidnap
We need to breed it.
We need to breed. Go and kill the others. Take their women. That's kind of how Watership Down. And it gets very bloody.
And then it's just bloody.
And then he communes with the rabbit god. It's the strangest thing. It's very good. I highly recommend it.
I'm gonna wiki. I'm on wiki right now. We're gonna Watership down the hell out of this real quick. Watership. So 1972. We're in a different time. Even then, which really isn't that long ago.
Not really.
So it's an adventure novel by English author Richard Adams, published by blah blah blah, set in Hampshire, southern England. Story features a small group of rabbits. We've got mythology. It has epic themes. But it's using rabbits, and I think that's a very
rabbits.
Yes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. No, I'm joking. I have had rabbit, and it's very tasty.
I've never had it.
It's good.
My grandma used to hunt rabbit.
Your grandma's awesome.
Yeah, she used a slingshot.
Oh wow, even more awesome.
Yeah.
I've shot him.
Maybe she shined the light and her dad used a slingshot, but she would go out with her dad and she would
spotlighting
the rabbits.
I think that's illegal now, but hey, ethics is we're always gaining on ethics, right? And don't watch the animated movie. I've heard that. Oh, I see somebody. Anybody remember the Great? Oh, yes, yes, Jenga. That's my favorite movie, probably other than Forrest Gump. That's probably my next favorite movie. Yes, very much so.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh, what is the white guy's name? You've got Jamie Foxx and then Christopher.
DiCaprio.
No, DiCaprio's wonderful in everything he's in, but I'm talking about the doctor, the dentist.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's I watched Inglourious Bastard.
Oh
That
yes,
guy.
yeah. He is he's bilingual. Well, he's multilingual. He speaks German, French, I believe, English. He's wonderful. He's one of my favorite actors. I love him.
He could probably do a one-man Watership Down show. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, and he's ruthless in a lot of his movies. He's great. Let's see. My recommendation for top tier anamorphic animal stuff is Farthing Woods. Okay. Also,
Woods.
Ghost of a Tale, which is a cool adventure game about a wee mouse. A wee mouse.
Is a wee mouse out on the land? Father. Farthing Woods, father.
That's actually pretty good. Not bad, man. So what's next for you? I don't know if that's going to be the same answer as what are you working on now, but sometimes they're different.
Next? I gotta freaking finish the Song of Bones story.
Yeah.
So my plan is to have it edited and compiled, book one, by what month is it?
It is
late January.
November.
January, February. I want to have it book one compiled and book two figured out by July. Because I have it all written. It's just everywhere.
Sure.
So I need to just get everything, organized and reading well. What I've been doing lately is I'm rereading through a lot of old stuff. Moving?
Yeah, you've been moving.
I've been moving.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy. Christopher Waltz. Yes, Brian, you're right. Christopher Waltz. That's him. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot of the old stuff I wrote like 5 years ago. And some of it I'm like, great, works, next. Some of it like, why did it take 80 words to say this when I could use 3 verbs and be done and have it just move way faster and be
Sounds
way
like
clearer
an author problem if I ever heard one.
Yeah,
Christoph. Yes. Sorry, Brian. Yes, that is Christoph. I said Christopher because I'm an American.
That dude, he's got range.
Oh, he does. He really does. All of it. Probably one of my favorite. He is top 3. I love him. So what about some social links? You stay pretty active, and where can we find your book?
Find my book on Amazon. The Garden Maze by Isaac Anderson. Please purchase it. Please review it. Leave a star. I need those stars, man. You can find me on Twitter. That's probably the only place where I'm on Facebook, but I'm never on Facebook, if you know what I mean.
Man, Facebook done me dirty. I'll never go back.
I listened to last night's stream, so I heard your Facebook story.
I talk about it all the time because if I happen to have a couple of these authors on there that are getting random, like, hey, can I have money? Just know it's not me.
Yeah.
Anywho. So I love it. So Twitter, we've got Amazon.
Twitter, I'm at Zoofries.
Yep. Yes, you are. I have that in the description and all of that fun stuff. Like I said, description. Who are a couple people you'd like to see me interview in the future?
Oh.
Crocker's dead, man.
Who's dead? What?
Crocker.
Crocker. No. He'd be cool. He's probably, if he's not dead, he's very old.
Yeah, I don't know if he's dead. I was
to write for Disney. All those Winnie the Pooh TV series, that was him. He wrote all that stuff. Yeah. He did there was Pooh's Grand Adventure, that really weird Winnie the Pooh movie where it got really dark. That was also him. So I bet he would have a lot of things to say. I can't find him online anywhere. He has no online presence.
No, because he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
I'm joking.
Yeah. There's a Robert Kroos. He wrote he wrote a series called Starship Grifters.
Okay.
I think he's an indie author. He's launching a
Starship.
Kickstarter in a month or so, kickstarting the next couple. He writes kind of like the closest thing to Hitchhikers you'll get today coming out of the indie space. His books are absolutely hilarious. Robert Krios. It has a weird last name. Starship Grifters. You'll find him.
Yeah, Starship Grifters. That's what I wrote down. Is
And then-
Starship Grifters.
It would be cool if you could get some audiobook voice actors. Because I
Tons.
bet they know fun people they could talk about and share stories and gossip.
Cool. Yep. All right, man. I love that. Well, I've had a really fun time with you, man. It's we're just about at an hour, and I think we've got a good grasp on your book, and you know, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope that your sister had a great birthday.
Oh yeah.
I hope the best, and I can't wait to read The Garden Maze. I hope all you guys pick it up. It's one of those that it won't take you long to get through. So if you're a reviewer or just want to kind of a palate, is it a good? You think it's a good palate cleanser?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is a great
right.
palate cleanser. Use this book in between all the other books.
There you go. Wonderful. All right. So all the links and stuff are going to be in the description. This won't be our last chat. I had such a fart time. I said fart time.
It was a fart time, everybody. It was the most fart time I ever had.
It was a fun time. Thank you guys for who showed up live and for who will watch us in the future. He'll pick his book up. Can't wait to talk with you the next time. Hope you have a wonderful night. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. And we will talk. Let's see, real quick. I have to plug my next interview. Yeah, let's see who's next. Oh, Christopher Russell. I only have to look. The day after Thanksgiving, Christopher Russell, Divinity's Twilight. Man, I've got some cool art to show you that he sent me, and then talk about his book, which is really good too.
Awesome.
Christopher Russell's an awesome guy. So we'll talk about that on the 24th. Until then, cheers, everybody. Like Tim says, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to one and to all.
Yes, and have a wonderful night.
See y'all later.
See y'all.